Welcome to the class. In the last class we were talking about utility, and we are continuing on with Unit 5 in microeconomics. And this we are going to talk about what are the characteristics of utility. For one, it is subjective, it is relative, and there is a difference between its usefulness and utility. There is a definite difference from pleasure also, and also pleasure. It's different from pleasure. So just have a look at this, and while I go on. So see, in the last class we did what is utility and all of that. We talked about the assumptions, and now we're going to do the characteristics. So what are the characteristics? So utility is subjective as it depends upon the intensity of want. More intensity of want implies a higher utility for a commodity. Utility varies from person to person. Utility of a particular commodity is not the same for all consumers. For example, say we're talking about pen. It has more utility for a student or a teacher, but not for an illiterate person. Or let's just take, if we are talking about a paintbrush, that's more important for a painter, for an artist, rather than the others, so on and so forth. So then again, utility is a relative concept. That's because it changes from time and place. Woolen clothes have greater utility in winter season and in high altitude areas, but has no utility in summer. So you can talk about umbrellas, you can talk about raincoats. So then it's relative. Utility is a relative concept. Then again, another characteristic of utility is that it is different from usefulness. A commodity may not be necessarily be useful, although it may have utility. For example, alcohol may possess high utility for a drunkard, but surely it is harmful to his health. Again, utility is also different from pleasure. So talking about that, it's different from pleasure. For example, if you take medicines or something which is bitter, it's not giving you a pleasure drinking it or having it, but then it has utility. So these are some of the characteristics, as you see, of utility. And now we are going to do there are types of utilities. We have what is known as total utility, we have what is known as marginal utility. So that's what we are going to do right here. So utility can be studied, or there are two types. One is total utility and marginal utility. So total utility is the sum total of the satisfaction that a consumer derives when a certain number of units of a particular commodity are consumed. So you can see that total utility depends upon the various quantities of a commodity that he consumes. So that is total utility. So with that we come to marginal utility. So what is marginal utility? It means addition to the total utility from the consumption of one more unit of a good. So again, marginal utility, what does it mean? It means addition to the total utility from the consumption of one more unit of a good. So I've given a table. You just look at the table, and this is how then we can understand this better. So it's an imaginary schedule. It's a utility schedule of a consumer for consumption of a good, where the total utility we are calculating, and we are also seeing the marginal utility. So let's take the table. When a person consumes 0, obviously his total utility in terms of utils is 0, and marginal utility is not there. Then you have, when he takes the first unit, consumes the first unit, the total utility he derives is 4. So marginal utility will be 4, that is n. Total utility of the last unit, that is 4, minus the previous unit, that is 0. So n minus 1 is 4. So 4 minus 0 is 4. When he takes or when he consumes the second unit, the total utility that he derives from it is 7. So by how much has it increased? By 3. That is 7 minus 4 is 3. So it is the addition. It shows an addition made to the total utility. Now let us take the other one. So he has consumed, let us say he consumes the third unit and he gets a total satisfaction, or the total utility in utils is 9, which means how much has the satisfaction that he has derived from consuming the third unit? 2. That is marginal utility. And when he has the fourth unit, he gets a total utility of 10. So what has been the increase? 1. The total utility has increased by 1. And when he takes the fifth unit, he gets the same total utility, that is 10. So what is the marginal utility? 10 minus 10 is 0. And when he takes the sixth unit, he gets, it's almost like it's doing a disservice to it. It's getting to be negative. So we can talk about this as a small, say let's just take a person who's very thirsty, wants to quench his thirst, and he has the first glass of water, he gets a total utility of 4. When he has a second, he gets 7. When he has a third, he gets 9. When he takes the fourth glass of water, he gets 10. His thirst has been quenched. He's satiated. When he takes another fifth glass of water, he drinks. The marginal utility is simply 0, no utility. And maybe when he takes a 6, he's ready to throw up. It's like it goes in negative. So this is what is known as, what we'll do later on is also known as the law of diminishing marginal utility. So anyways, before we go on to that, so just let us look at the relationship between total utility and marginal utility. So when consumption of a good by a consumer increases, total utility derived from it changes. Okay. So the law of diminishing marginal utility is the basis of its change. According to the law, as consumption is increased, marginal utility falls. During the fall, marginal utility is positive in the beginning. See, so you know what? When you see the total utility increasing, till then, marginal utility is positive. And when total utility is at its height, then marginal utility is 0. And when total utility falls, which means the marginal utility has become negative. So ultimately, marginal utility becomes negative. So initially it is positive marginal utility, then it becomes 0, and then after that it becomes negative. So initially total utility increases but at a decreasing rate. So marginal utility is falling but positive. Actually the thing is, you can get a question that when marginal utility is falling and positive, what will be the total utility? Will it be increasing or decreasing? Yes, it will be increasing, but it will be increasing at a decreasing rate. So in the table, this phase is up to 4 units of consumption. And after some consumption level, total utility is maximum. And then it neither increases or decreases, that is 10. That is maximum at 4 units and remains so at 5. And marginal utility is 0 at 5 units. And ultimately total utility starts falling and marginal utility becomes negative. And in the table, it's from the 6th unit upwards. So I hope you've understood that. You'll get a difference between TUMU and what is utility and things like that.